the panel discussion. The topic for that is addressing technology risks in a digital economy. Our moderator is an adept management executive with 30 years experience covering finance, operations, technology, audits, internal controls, and management consultancy in major institutions across Africa. He has worked with leading multinational companies, including PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, Standard Chartered Bank, Ecobank Transitional Incorporated, and Elf Oil Ghana Limited. He is currently the General Manager in Corporate Support Services at Modec Production Services JV Limited. With a round of applause, let's welcome Dr. Patrick Fishian as our moderator for the panel discussion. He will be introducing the panelists as well. Please let's keep the applause going.
You know, in our everyday lives, in our various interactions, we see technology playing one role or the other. And you know that technology is very dynamic, very unstable. So if you have an economy which is being facilitated by technology, that should tell you that, well, if it's sitting on technology which is kind of constantly evolving, that environment will also be constantly evolving. And this brings in this week all kinds of risks. Okay. So what we're going to do in this panel discussion is just to start a conversation around the kind of risks that we should be alive to in the digital world and how we can possibly overcome these risks. And of course, within the short time, we can't exhaust everything, but hopefully it should point you into the right direction. Okay. So starting with Albert, can you please tell us a few things about yourself? Maybe 2 or 3 sentences.
Thank you. My name is Albert Yurinchi Dankwa. I've been in cybersecurity, IT audit, and IT and related field for about 13 to 14 years now. Currently, I am the CISO for Stanbic Bank Ghana.
You're most welcome.
My name is already said. And I like to think about myself as being in a space where I help with the organization towards principled performance. And I think the work we do is not tangible, to say we are impacting from a revenue side, but it's invariably translates into that. My background is actually information technology. I'm a science person by computer science by profession. I've done that for a number of years. I went into business continuity. Now I'm actually into full risk, and I'm currently acting Chief Risk and Compliance Officer. Thank you.
Thank you. Review.
Yes, my name is Romeo Bujay. I don't know what to say about myself. Yes, but I manage IT consortium. I have a background in computer science and decision support systems and process re-engineering. So I'm wondering whether I'm in the right place with this people who understand everything about risk, but I will be looking at risk from enterprise perspective.
Technology risks in the digital economy. I kind of thought that we could expand that a bit because there are other risks which are also interrelated and are also equally important. Okay. But it's also useful to provide context in whatever discussion we want to do. So instead of jumping right into these risks, I think it would be helpful for us to have a common understanding of what we mean by digital economy, and then probably have a view as to why it's important. I know who would want to take that.
Okay. I think you gave the definition right from the start in terms of digital economy. We have the physical, the same economy, buying and selling, and making sure that you have goods available and people can buy, and also to produce and people consume. And what rails are you using to be able to do that? In digital economy, you are using purely technology and especially data to be able to create a system that is not dependent on brick and mortar, but be able to achieve the same thing that you achieve in selling of goods and services, the production of it, also consuming them. So at least in general, that is what I would say about digital economy.
Winifred, you want to add to that? Okay.
Yeah, I think he actually explained it well. So I would have said, I mean, basically translating, what we're doing physically into an electronic or, mode over, you can do it over the internet or through in such a way that all the products and services that you want to deal with is very easily reachable through, technology.
All right. What I'll add to it is that, now, once we got into the fourth industrial revolution, everything has changed now. And even for things we do physically, there's an integration of some digital sense. So you would have your fridge being able to connect to the Wi-Fi. And the way when you think about it, the economy we are creating through digitalization, just think about your fridge sending a message to your grocery shop that you are running out of milk, right? And we are there now, we are there now. It's happening now. There's a bank in Germany called N26. They don't have any physical branch. It's a purely 100% digital bank. So the technology is opening up our economy and putting all of these things together, including the kind of digitization we are doing within our organization, is what really sums up to create the digital economy.
Thank you, Fernandez. Okay, so to summarize, basically, any activity you're engaged in which is facilitated by technology can be seen as being part of the digital economy. Yeah, but having said that, I think it will be useful for us to understand the key pillars that underpin this economy. Okay, what are the pillars that kind of prop up this digital economy?
So I think the key pillars that will prop up this digital economy will first be people, people understanding that change and what it means for us. I think also strategy, and I think Nas said it well. I've been thinking about this topic for a while now, and Nas said it well, that the triad is very critical, the people, processes, and technology. But there are other things that we also need to focus on. The regulator is another key pillar that we also need to focus on with this digital economy. So these are the things that I would say.
Okay.
Right. I think the core thing is technology. When you aside people, the core thing will be technology. And when it comes to technology, we are usually looking at identification and authorization and all of these things, because you want to be able to identify the key entities within the economy. So how do you identify a particular entity? What role are they playing in there? So that ability to identify certain entities within the economy is one key thing. I guess that's why we are trying to, like in Ghana, to boost our digital economy, to get the card, the Ghana card, so that we will be able to identify the entities within the economy, because it is only after that that you can leverage on the opportunities within the digital economy.
Okay, so the key point being made here is that identity is key, because unlike the physical transactions where you see the bin in front of you, in most digital transactions, you don't have the physical presence of the parties. So it's critical that at all times you'll be able to identify persons engaged in that. So, which is why identity is a critical part of the digital economy. But of course, there are also issues like your payment platforms and the need for interoperability, because there's no point in having disparate platforms not being able to talk to each other. So anytime we talk about a digital economy, one thing that has to come to mind is that at all times you must be able to identify the parties involved therein. Okay. Now, can we talk about some examples of the digital economy before we jump into these risks?
Okay, I'm sure every time people ask about this, the first thing that comes to come to their mind is Uber, Airbnb, and things like that. But I wish we could use examples here in the country that makes it maybe bring it home. And an example within here could be maybe Jumia, where you create a platform where people can buy and sell. What a lot of people don't realize has changed in our economy is the medium of giving loans and making loans available to the ordinary people and allowing them to pay. It has said that the default rate, you'll be amazed, is far lower at that level than what we see in the traditional way of giving loans in the banks and things like that. And the volume and the value there are far, far higher than that. So an economy has been created without any brick and mortar. So those who are running that kind of thing are creating an economy that really didn't exist before. Another example I can give is informal pension economy. I think over the years, this country has struggled with making sure that we have pension for our people. Now there are infrastructure and product and systems that allows a household to have a cover without actually approaching any brick and mortar or even knowing the underwriter behind it. So these are different economies that are growing within. Transportation is one that is also growing here. So these are a few examples that I can give. Yeah.
So if you have a phenomenon which permeates every aspect of our lives, whether it's communication, ordering food, ordering shopping, etc., it stands to reason that if there are any risks associated with this experience, these risks will occur in different shapes and forms. So you can think of technological risks, you can think of environmental, you can think of economic, you can think of social risks, which was why I thought we needed to go beyond just technological risks, because there are a lot of risks we live with which we are not alive to. So I thought it to be useful to talk about each of these.
Okay, I just want to segregate two things. You spoke about social engineering. So that in itself is not exactly technology risk. So I just want for us to make that also clear. That's actually a risk, but it's not focused on technology. It's actually focused on the people who are using the digital services, where the bad people try to capitalize on the people who are using the digital service and sort of solicit information from you and dupe you. So that is one. But yes, also the technology loopholes could be a big risk to the digital agenda or the digital economy. If after you put in your digital service or initiative or whatever and nobody takes the time to put some kind of control or monitoring mechanism, yes, that's also a huge risk. And also we have to be mindful of the fact that because it's digital, you can't do it in the conventional way where you take every week to go and do an assessment. It has to be a continuous control monitoring that is actually automated and flagging, exceptions every now and then. So that's also another key one. But I'd like to also add that a major risk also that's coming from this digital risk is data privacy risk, because we are harnessing a lot of data. For any digital service that you offer, people must either, like my colleague said, you need to put in your identity, and your identity defines you. So if at the background we are not looking at that risk where bad people can harness the information or the data or whatever at the background, then that becomes a very risk that regulators can also jump on you and penalize you, because people can actually even sue you. I think yesterday, was it Na who said that risk is a two-pronged side, where the regulator is on your neck and the users are also on your neck. So you have two issues to resolve in that side.
Some of the risks that have been identified appear to more at the corporate level. Yes, and I would want us to explore a bit more the part about the social risks, like what it means for us, for our future, if you have people working from home, which is being facilitated by technology. And like you've rightly said, you go to social gatherings, everybody's on their phone, children sitting in the car, instead of looking around, taking note of landmarks, so that future they can make their own way, they are glued to the phone. So now you leave them on their own, they don't know anywhere in the system. So I think that aspect of social risk, I'd want us to talk a bit more about that. If there are any other examples you can think of.
That's true. I mean, the one about kids, I think most parents here, when we want peace of mind, we just give our phones to our kids and then they do whatever they want to do, right? And we just have to be deliberate about it. We can create times that you play with. I always tell people that I am envious of my kids because you know how we say dadaba, right? I wasn't a dadaba. I guess I'm trying to give my kids or being the dada for them, you know what I mean? But for whatever they try to enjoy, it's more like I tell them, I didn't get this, so I won't let you enjoy it alone, and I will do it with you. You know what I mean? So they are going skating, and I'm doing it with them. That's something we can deliberately do to do away with the risk, because the digital economy and digitization is something we can't do without. We need it. We need it. So we just have to be deliberate about the risk that comes with it, and then how do we reduce the risk, because we can't eliminate it. So the risk mindset as risk practitioners, we just need to move it from a corporate environment to the home. And sometimes when you get home, maybe we just need to forget about risk a bit. A colleague of mine said, I watch your status, I see the things you do, but I don't see you like that in the corporate environment. Like, that one is someone's business. My home is mine, so I can do away with, or I can actually extend my risk appetite, just so I can have, some social interaction with the people around me. So it's a very important point you make, and I think as Ghanaians, as Africans, we have certain things that we don't have to let go. Sometimes we say tradition, let's go all old things, but there are some key things that we need. Social interaction. We really need that, and I think it's something we don't need to lose.
Well, I think just to add to his own, in my home, we decided to have something we call No Phone Day. So funny enough, I'm the most stricter one than my husband, because he's always like, oh, Della, can we just let them, So I'm like, okay, 3 days in a week, no phone. And that's the end of the story. You can do whatever you want, read your book, whatever, no phone. Because we find out, like you said, that we are in the house and everybody is on their phones. You call them, they're like, they're just not listening. And much as the digital, side is good because they're learning and, most of their, assignments are supposed to be on research these days. Some of the things they talk about, I said, I didn't know how to do research. In fact, even in the university, we didn't have to do so much of research like they are doing now. So it's good. But the other side is when they also use it too much. Number two, they're going to sites where, it's not even appropriate for them. So that's from a personal side, and I think we also need to find a way to manage that risk. But on the other side, where we're thinking about a bigger economy, I think one key thing is also strategy, where, every one of us, when we try to put a digital product, do we also think about, if this product, how do we safeguard children? Because I think that is done quite well outside, where there are certain things where you can actually set PG or whatever for a child, so that you know that this one is not good for the child to view. So they set PG. I do that with my kids. I create their emails, and then I put their age. And then my daughter is like, Mommy, why do you put my age? It's 7 years, and they are not going to allow me to watch this. I said, yes, because you are 7. You know, some parents even allow their kids to change their dates so they can have access. But you would realize that in Google and things, the emails, they've set it such that if you put your age and the system calculates that you're 7 years, there are certain sites you won't be able to go, and which is good. So I think we need to see it from two sides. Internally, how do we manage that risk for our children? And then from a corporate side, when we are doing our products and services, we need to strategize such that we incorporate all these things into the design of the products that we run.
Okay, I'll also be inviting questions from the floor, but there's one other point I think I'd want us to, okay, Romy, yeah, one other point I would want us to address, that as individuals, how do we protect ourselves in the digital economy? I give you an example. Sometimes when you go onto Facebook, you find guys kind of checking in. So the guy is in Accra today, you can tell next day is in Lome, next day is in Benin. And you unwittingly kind of give out information about your movements. And sometimes people can capitalize on that. Okay. And then even like using your card for online transactions and all that. Once someone has your card details, without the card being present, the guy can still go online. And once the guy has your CVV, can go online and transact, etc. And like I made the point earlier, technology is always evolving. So if you are dabbling in a space where the underpinning technology is always changing, as individuals, how do we keep pace and ensure that we are not exposed to risks that we wouldn't have thought about?
Okay, I think that